This is the story of Gary's bad day. So here's the story. It was a dark, stormy night. Gary was walking to his car after a boring day of work at the city bank. He was about to step inside when a voice called out to him. "Hey, buddy, give me your money, and don't make this difficult." He turned around, and there was a man in a ski mask pointing a gun at him. "Okay, no problem at all," Gary replied. He reached into his pocket, stopped for a moment, then tried to karate chop the gun out of the man's hand. Unfortunately, his martial arts training wasn't quick enough, and he was shot. The robber panicked, dropped the gun, and ran. A few minutes later, the police arrived on scene and apprehended 4 possible suspects who were in the area. They were able to recover a DNA sample from the gun and load it into a gel electrophoresis. Let's look at the results. All right, I hope you enjoyed that professional animation. Here we can see the 2 separate VNTR loci that are being compared. Each individual has 2 bands, each corresponding to an allele. The location of the band is dependent on the size of the DNA. So here we have the DNA of Gary the victim, as well as the 4 suspects, Dave, John, Rob, and Stabby, who got his name from his habit of stabbing. Let's look at the first locus. None of Dave's bands match the evidence. Neither does Rob's or Gary's, so they are not candidates. One of Stabby's alleles does match, but the second one doesn't. However, both of John's alleles do match the evidence, so he is a candidate. If we look at the second locus, we can see that again, Gary, Dave, and Rob share no alleles with that of the evidence sample. Stabby seems to share 1 allele, but John shares both. So we can conclude that John's DNA matches the evidence left at the scene of the crime. Another thing that can be noted is that Stabby is actually John's father, and at each locus, they share 1 identical allele. I guess crime must run in the family. So when the police first started testing the sample, they found a partial match for Stabby, who was already in the database due to his fondness for stabbing. This led them to also test John and then confirm that his sample matched the evidence. So this begs the question, was this an invasion of privacy to apprehend the suspect in this way? I'll leave that for you to think about. Here are my references.